Hey guys, you're going to hear me over and over, and you're going to hear it in a lot of videos that I have over on dogtraining360.com. You're going to hear it in several of these videos about having your dog on a leash. My philosophy for this is because if you kept your dog on a leash and followed this, you would never have to hire a dog trainer. It's true. It's crazy, but it's true. So this is how it works, and this is my philosophy around it. A dog doesn't have to do something and be corrected to know that they can't do it. For example, your dog does not need to get up on the counter and get corrected and to learn that they're not supposed to get on the counter. Your dog doesn't need to go to the front door and bark and be corrected to learn that they can't do that. So no matter what age that you get your dog, whether it's a puppy, an adolescent, or an adult, or a senior, for 2 years, this looks like this. I say keep your dog on a leash for 2 years. This is what it looks like. The leash is on and attached to you, and your dog goes everywhere. If they're not attached to you, then the dog is either outside or in their crate. If they're outside, I have an outside leash. It's a long line that the dogs are on, so that they're learning that when I open the door and they don't come in, I don't want to have to call my dogs to tell them to come in. I want to open my door and have them present. If they don't, then I walk out and I go get the leash and I bring them in. This philosophy and this video is on my How Not to Call Your Dog course, so that you shouldn't have to call your dog in those scenarios. When they're outside in the yard and you open the door, your dog should come. So having a leash on them, you can go get the leash and you can bring them in. And then they start learning that, oh, you open the door and I need to come in. If I'm in the kitchen with my dogs and I have the leash on and they start sniffing and trying to figure out what's on the counter, I have the leash to prevent that from happening so it doesn't happen. If I'm at the front door and I teach my dog what I want you to do at the front door, as I don't want you to go to the front door, I want you to go get on your bed, then I'm going to hook up to something, some kind of furniture, to go to the bed and hook them there, and then I'm going to not let them go to the door. So having a leash on your dog prevents them from doing the things that you are always complaining about your dog doing. They're jumping on people. Do you have your dog on a leash? No. They're barking at the front window. Do you have your dog on a leash? No. They're jumping up on the counter and eating food. Did you have them on a leash? No. So, do you get where I'm coming from here? If your dog's on a leash, they don't learn to do it. Then I'm in the kitchen cooking and I feel like I have not had to correct my dog for sniffing and trying to get into the garbage and all the other things, and I just drop the leash. Will my dog hang with me but not try and get on the counters? Now can my dog drag the leash around the house? The first time they make a mistake, meaning they run to the door or they get in the garbage or they run into the bathroom and steal tissues out, then the leash goes back attached. Until I haven't had to do anything with the leash, then my dog is with me and I just feel like I don't really need to hold on to the leash, and then I let them drag the leash. When they're dragging the leash and I feel like I haven't really had to do anything it's been a month and I haven't had to pick up the leash once, then I start my day with the dog off the leash. The first mistake they make of the day, the leash goes on and it stays on them for the rest of the day. And depending upon what it is did they get in the garbage? Did they go away from me and poop on the floor? Did they bark at the front door? Then I'm going to put the leash back on and it's going to be attached to me for maybe another month or two. Then I'm going to go back to dragging the leash, and then I'm going to start with the leash off, and the first mistake of the day, the leash goes back on. If they just maybe ran to the door but they didn't bark and then they kind of disconnected, maybe I'm not going to hold on to the leash then. Maybe I'm just going to have the leash on and they have to drag it around for a while. Let me just see where you're at. You're going to do this for 2 years. Again, from the time that you get your dog. If you get a 2-year-old and you rescue, the leash is on for 2 years. What I mean by on is it's this exercise. On and attached to something, dragging, and then off. And all those scenarios, maybe your dog is really good in the house and their leash is off, but now we're struggling with them coming inside. And so now they're going to go outside with the leash on because I need to go pick up the leash and bring them in and show them what they need to do. Maybe the dog is great outside, that every time you open the door, they come a-running, and the leash needs to be on inside still for a while. So that leash plays such a big role in molding and shaping the behaviors that you want of your dog. It's the critical piece of having a great recall. It's the critical piece to having house manners and the dog that you want. It's a critical piece on having nice loose leash walking and your dog connected with you. And then it's a piece that helps you guide and direct your dog without constantly micromanaging and constantly nagging. You would not believe if every time somebody told me my dog's doing this and I say put a leash on and teach them what else you want them to do instead of constantly battling it, you truly wouldn't need a dog trainer if you followed this step. I'm going to put a link to my podcast about talking about the leash. And I also talk about it in my adventure recall. And I also talk about it in how not to have to call your dog courses over at dogtraining360.com. You can also get support with our Lifetime platform where you get all the training videos, plus a private Facebook group where you can ask questions and get support that way, and weekly coaching that is very custom to, if you want to be personally coached, you can be personally coached on there, or you can listen to everybody else's challenges and ask questions along the way. So there's 100% support out there, and I can guarantee you, again, I don't use that word very much, like hardly ever, but if you keep a leash on your dog for 2 years, you'll never have to hire a dog trainer.